Captain Dong Min stared out the window of his ship as stars moved slowly past. The Persistence was not a warship. It was built for exploring space and finding new things. The ship had 12 crew members, all scientists and engineers who wanted to learn about the universe. Earth had only 12 ships like this one. While other alien races built huge fleets of warships, humans made ships for peace. They wanted to trade with aliens and study strange new worlds. Most humans thought this was the smart thing to do. Dr. He-jin sat at her computer in the science lab. She studied alien life forms and how they lived. Today she was looking at samples from a planet with purple plants. The work was quiet and calm, just like every other day. Then the emergency signal came through. The ship's computer made loud beeping sounds. Red lights flashed on every wall. He-jin had never seen the emergency system work before. She ran to the bridge where Dong Min was reading a message on the main screen. "What is it?" she asked. Dong Min's face was white with fear. "Read this," he said. The message was from the Confederation of Allied Worlds. This was like a big club that many alien races belonged to. Earth was a small member of this club. The message said, "Emergency alert to all member species, the Devourers, have returned from dark space. They have destroyed the Keth homeworld. They have destroyed the Zephyrian colonies. They are moving toward the core worlds. All species must send their warfleets to help fight them. This is not a request. This is a command for survival." Hyejin read the message twice. "Who are the Devourers?" she asked. "Machines," Dong Min said. "Living machines that eat whole planets. They were gone for 1,000 years. Everyone thought they were just old stories." The ship's radio started making noise. Other human ships were calling. Everyone was scared and confused. No one knew what to do. 2 days later, Admiral Tae-ho took a fast ship to the emergency meeting. This meeting was held on Nexus Station, a huge space station where all the alien races came to talk about important things. Tae-ho was Earth's only admiral. He was a good man who had spent his life keeping peace between humans and aliens. He had never fought in a real war. The meeting hall was full of aliens. There were the Wrecks, who looked like big lizards with sharp teeth. They loved to fight and had the biggest warfleet in the galaxy. There were the Althari, who were tall and thin with silver skin. They had the best technology and thought they were smarter than everyone else. Many other alien races were there, too. All of them had brought lists of their warships. The Wrecks had 5,000 battlecruisers. The Althari had 3,000 ships with weapons that could destroy stars. Even the small races had hundreds of warships. When it was Earth's turn to speak, Tae-ho stood up. The room became quiet. All the aliens looked at him with their strange eyes. "Earth offers 12 ships to help fight the Devourers," he said. The room was silent for a moment. Then someone started laughing. Soon all the aliens were laughing. It was not a kind laugh. Kresh Val, the war commander of the Wrecks, stood up. He was 3 meters tall with yellow eyes and claws like knives. 12 ships? He said. "We thought you were joking." "These ships are not even warships," said Zeph 9. Speaking for the Althari, "They are exploration vessels. They have no real weapons. They cannot fight." Tae-ho tried to explain. "Our ships may be small, but our crews are brave. We can help in other ways. We are good at fixing things and solving problems." This made the aliens laugh even more. "Humans," said Kresh Val. "Your species is weak. You have no warrior spirit. You build ships for running away, not for fighting. We do not need your help. Stay in your small corner of space." added Zeph 9. Hide behind. Your planet. Pray that we can save you from the Devourers. Do not get in our way. The other aliens agreed. Earth was not invited to join the Great Alliance. The meeting continued without Teho. The aliens made plans for the biggest war fleet ever seen. Thousands of ships would fight together. They would use their best weapons and their smartest battle plans. Teho sat alone in a corner and watched. He felt ashamed and angry. Earth had tried to be peaceful. They had tried to make friends with everyone. Now, when the galaxy needed help, no one wanted humans around. The aliens finished their planning. Their great fleet would meet the Devourers at the edge of known space. It would be a glorious battle. The aliens were sure they would win. When Teho returned to Earth, he told the human leaders what had happened. President Kim Soo called an emergency meeting. All the ship captains came to hear the news. "We are on our own," Teho said. "The aliens think we are too weak to help. They think our ships are useless." Captain Dong Min was angry. "Our ships may not have big guns, but they are still good ships. Our crews know how to work hard." "What should we do?" asked Captain Haewon, who commanded a passenger ship that carried people between planets. "We prepare," said President Kim Soo. "We may not have a war fleet, but we have something else. We have the will to survive." The meeting ended with a simple plan. Earth would get ready for war in its own way. They would not wait for the aliens to save them. They would not hide and hope for the best. In space, the great alien fleet was moving toward the Devourers. Thousands of warships flew in perfect formation. Their weapons were charged and ready. Their captains were confident. But on Earth, something different was happening. In shipyards and factories, humans were working day and night. They were not building warships. They were changing the ships they already had. The Devourers were coming, and humanity would face them with 12 small ships and the fierce desire to live. The real war was about to begin. 6 months passed since the great alien fleet went to fight the Devourers. Every day, Earth received news from the war. The news was always bad. The first battle was at the Kesh system. The alien fleet had 2,000 ships. They attacked the Devourers using their best battle plans. The aliens thought they would win easily. They were wrong. The Devourers fought back with weapons no one had seen before. They could learn from every attack. When the aliens used energy beams, the Devourers made shields to stop them. When the aliens fired missiles, the Devourers turned the missiles around and sent them back. Half of the alien fleet was destroyed in one day. The surviving ships pulled back to plan a new attack. They tried different weapons and new battle formations. It did not matter. The Devourers learned from every fight and became stronger. On Earth, Commander Kyung-ho was in charge of getting ready for war. He was a smart man who had spent years studying alien technology, but now he had to prepare for an enemy that could beat the most advanced races in the galaxy. "We cannot build warships in time," he told his team. "The Devourers will be here in less than a year. We need a different plan." Engineer Sora had an idea. She was young but very clever with machines. "What if we don't build new ships?" she said. "What if we change the ships we already have?" Sora showed them her plans. She wanted to take cargo ships and put weapons on them. Not normal weapons like energy cannons. Instead, she wanted to use tools that humans used every day. Plasma cutters, she explained. "We use them to cut through metal when we build space stations. Mining charges that we use to break up asteroids. Construction robots that we use to fix ships." Some people thought this was a crazy idea. How could construction tools fight machines that could destroy whole planets? Dr. Wu Jin was different. He studied old wars and how people fought them. He spent days reading about the Devourer attacks. He noticed something strange. "Look at these battle reports," he told the others. "The Devourers always attack the same way. They expect the enemy to fight like soldiers. They are ready for organized fleets and military tactics." "What does that mean?" asked Kyung-ho. "It means they might not be ready for chaos," Woo Jin said. "They expect warships. They expect battle plans. What if we give them something completely different?" The idea began to grow. Instead of trying to build a proper war fleet, Earth would fight with what they had. Cargo ships would become weapons. Passenger ships would carry surprises instead of people. Even garbage collection ships would join the fight. Captain Jin-ho volunteered to test the new ideas. He commanded a freight ship called the Lucky Day. It was old and slow, but it was his ship and he loved it. So-ra and her team worked for weeks changing the Lucky Day. They took out most of the cargo space and put in new equipment. They added mining drones that could fly into enemy ships. They installed plasma cutters that could slice through armor. They even put in a fake distress beacon to make the ship look like it was in trouble. "This is not about winning fights," Jin-ho told his crew. "This is about learning how these machines work. We need to get close to them and see what happens." The test came sooner than expected. Long-range sensors detected a single Devourer ship heading toward Earth's outer colonies. It was alone, probably sent to scout the area. Jin-ho took the Lucky Day to meet it. The plan was simple. The Lucky Day would pretend to be a refugee ship running away from the war. When the Devourer ship came close to investigate, Jin-ho would launch the mining drones. It almost worked perfectly. The Devourer ship found the Lucky Day floating near an asteroid field. It looked like a harmless cargo ship with engine problems. The Devourer ship came closer to scan it. Jin-ho waited until the enemy was very close. Then he launched 50 mining drones at once. The little robots flew straight at the Devourer ship. They were not designed for fighting, but they were very good at cutting through metal. The Devourer ship's shields stopped energy weapons, but they did not stop simple tools. The mining drones attached themselves to the enemy hull and started cutting. Their plasma torches burned through the alien metal like it was paper. The Devourer ship tried to shake them off, but the drones kept working. "It's working!" Jin-ho shouted over the radio. "The industrial cutters are going right through their armor." But the victory did not last long. The Devourer ship was damaged but not destroyed. It turned its weapons on the Lucky Day and fired. Jin-ho's ship exploded in a ball of fire. Before he died, Jin-ho managed to send one last message to Earth. His voice was calm even as his ship was falling apart around him. "The weapons work," he said. "These machines are not ready for miners and welders. Don't fight them like soldiers. Fight them like humans." The message reached Earth just as the main alien fleet was suffering another terrible defeat. 3,000 alien ships attacked the Devourers at the Helix Nebula. Only 500 ships escaped. But on Earth, Jin-ho's sacrifice had given them hope. The test had worked. Simple human tools could hurt machines that alien superweapons could not touch. Commander Kyung-ho called for more volunteers. Hundreds of ship captains stepped forward. They knew it was dangerous, but they also knew it was their only chance. The shipyards became busy with activity. Cargo ships were fitted with mining equipment. Passenger ships were loaded with construction robots. Even luxury cruise ships were turned into weapons platforms. Captain Hae-won volunteered her passenger ship, the New Dawn. Instead of comfortable seats for travelers, it now carried deployment pods filled with combat engineers. Instead of entertainment systems, It had racks of industrial tools. "We are not warriors," she told her crew. "We are workers, and workers know how to get the job done." Other captains made similar changes to their ships. Captain Jae-sung turned his cargo hauler into a giant battering ram. Captain Yoon-kyung modified her medical ship to carry swarms of repair robots that could be used for sabotage. The alien races heard about what humans were doing. They sent messages telling Earth to stop being foolish. War was for trained soldiers, with proper weapons, not for civilians with construction tools. But humans had learned something important from Jin-ho's sacrifice. The Devourers were machines that followed patterns. They expected certain types of attacks and had defenses ready for them. They were not ready for the unexpected. Earth's new fleet was definitely unexpected. As more Devourer ships appeared in human space, the converted civilian ships went out to meet them. Each encounter taught them something new. Each battle, whether won or lost, gave them more information about how the enemy worked. The aliens continued to lose their great battles. Their mighty fleets were being destroyed one by one. But in the quiet corners of space, human cargo ships and passenger liners were learning how to fight a war in their own strange way. The real test was still coming. Soon, the main Devourer force would reach Earth. When that happened, humanity would face them with their fleet of converted civilian ships and their growing understanding of how to fight an impossible enemy. The aliens had failed with their war fleets and battle plans. Now, it was time to see what humans could do with their stubborn refusal to give up. The news of humanity's first victory against the Devourers spread quickly through the galaxy. Some aliens were surprised, others were curious, but most of them just thought it was luck. The Great Alien Alliance continued to fight their war the same way they always had. Thousands of ships in perfect formations, powerful energy weapons firing in coordinated attacks, battle plans made by the smartest military minds. And they kept losing. The Althari High Council met in their crystal palace, floating in space. Zeph 9 stood before the other leaders, his silver face showing no emotion. "The humans destroyed a Devourer scout ship using mining equipment," he reported. "Some of our analysts think we should study their methods." The other council members looked disgusted. Council leader Vex Prime spoke for them all. "We will not lower ourselves to use primitive tools like common workers. We have quantum weapons that can destroy stars. We have shields that can stop any attack. We will win through superior technology and proper tactics." The Vrex Empire felt the same way. War Commander Kreshval laughed when he heard about human tactics. "Let the weak humans play with their little tools," he growled. "Real warriors fight, with honor and strength. We will crush the Devourers with our mighty fleet." But while the aliens argued about honor and proper warfare, humans were learning how to survive. Earth's strange new fleet grew bigger every day. Captain Haewon led a group of converted passenger ships on a dangerous mission. Her ships were disguised to look like refugee vessels carrying civilians away from the war. The Devourer Patrol found them near the ruins of a destroyed space station. 3 enemy ships moved in to investigate the helpless refugees. "Remember," Haewon told her crews, "we are scared civilians running for our lives. Act the part until I give the signal." The Devourer ships came closer. They scanned the human vessels with their strange blue beams. The scans showed exactly what the machines expected to see: frightened people in old ships trying to escape. What the scans did not show were the 50 combat engineers hiding in the cargo holds when the enemy ships "We're close enough," Haywan gave the signal. The passenger ships opened their cargo doors and launched escape pods. But these pods were not carrying refugees. They were carrying humans with tools. Engineer Young Soo led the first group. His pod attached itself to the side of a devourer ship. Like a space tick, the pod's cutting torch burned through the enemy hull in seconds. Young Soo and his team crawled inside with their equipment. "We're in," he reported over the radio. "Beginning interior demolition." The devourer ship was full of strange machines and glowing computer panels. Young Soo's team went to work with crowbars and welding torches. They did not try to understand the alien technology. They just broke it. The results were immediate. The devourer ship's weapons stopped firing. Its engines shut down. Warning lights flashed throughout the vessel as critical systems failed. On the other two enemy ships, more human teams were doing the same thing. They cut power cables with bolt cutters. They welded doors shut to trap computer cores. They used construction foam to clog air vents and cooling systems. It was not elegant warfare. It was not honorable combat. It was simple vandalism. And it worked perfectly. All three devourer ships were disabled within an hour. The human teams planted explosive charges and escaped in their pods just before the enemy vessels exploded. Dr. Sun Mi watched the battle from Earth and studied the wreckage afterward. She was a computer expert who had been trying to understand how devourer technology worked. "I think I know why our methods are so effective," she told Commander Kyung-ho. "These machines classify everything they encounter. They have categories for different types of threats and responses for each category." She showed him her analysis on a computer screen. "When they see a military ship, they activate maximum defensive protocols, energy shields, point defense systems, electronic warfare countermeasures. But when they see a civilian vessel, they barely react at all." "So they think we're harmless," Kyung-ho said. "Exactly. And by the time they realize we're dangerous, we're already inside their ships with crowbars." This discovery led to new tactics. Earth's fleet learned to be even more unpredictable. Captain Jae-sung used his cargo hauler to ram devourer ships at full speed. His crew escaped in mining pods while their ship smashed through enemy hulls like a giant hammer. Captain Yoon Kyung pretended her ship was a medical vessel responding to distress calls. She would approach damaged devourer ships, offering to help with repairs. Instead, her construction mechs would tear the enemy vessels apart. From the inside, every human ship that was destroyed taught them something valuable. When Captain Byung-ho's converted cruise ship was overwhelmed by 5 devourer vessels, his final transmission revealed how the enemy ships communicated with each other. When Engineer Yu Jin died while sabotaging a devourer command ship, her sacrifice showed which computer systems controlled their weapons. Each loss hurt, but humans learned from every mistake. They adapted their tactics daily. They shared information instantly across the entire fleet. The aliens watched these strange battles with growing confusion. The Vreks could not understand how humans achieved victory by ramming their enemies with garbage ships. The Althari were baffled by tactics that had no mathematical logic. Some younger aliens began to ask questions. A few Althari scientists requested permission to study human methods. They were told to focus on real military science instead. Meanwhile, the great alien fleets continued to suffer devastating defeats. The Devourers had learned to counter every conventional tactic. Energy weapons were useless against adaptive shields. Missiles were turned back on their launchers. Even the most advanced alien technology was neutralized within minutes of being used. The proud Vrex Empire lost its entire Third Fleet in a single day. 500 of their best warships were destroyed trying to defend their home system. War. Commander Kreshval was among the dead. The Althari hegemony abandoned 3 entire star systems, pulling back to heavily fortified positions around their capital worlds. Their quantum weapons, which could destroy planets, were helpless against an enemy that adapted faster than they could fire. Smaller alien races began to surrender. They sent messages to the Devourers offering to submit rather than be destroyed. Some of them begged humanity for help, but Earth's fleet was too small to defend other species' territory. As the Devourer invasion spread across the galaxy, only humanity seemed to be winning any battles at all. Their victories were small and costly, but they were victories. The secret was simple. Humans did not fight like soldiers. They fought like survivors. When faced with an impossible enemy, they did not try to match its strength. They found its weaknesses and exploited them with whatever tools they had available. The aliens had built their entire military strategy around the idea of honorable combat between organized fleets. The Devourers were designed to counter exactly that kind of warfare, but no one had taught the machines how to fight against stubborn humans with welding torches and an absolute refusal to give up. As the war entered its final phase, the surviving, aliens began to realize that they had made a terrible mistake. They had dismissed humanity as too weak to matter. Now humanity might be the galaxy's only hope for survival. The question was, would the aliens swallow their pride in time to learn from the species they had laughed at? The Devourer invasion was reaching its final stages. Across the galaxy, alien civilizations were collapsing one by one. The great alliance that had seemed so powerful was falling apart. The Vrex Empire, once the proudest military force in known space, was down to fewer than 100 ships. Their remaining warriors fought desperately to defend their last colonies, but they were losing ground every day. The Althari hegemony had retreated to their core worlds and built massive defensive stations around their planets. Their quantum weapons created walls of destructive energy in space. But even these defenses were failing as the Devourers adapted to each new technology. The smaller alien races were making hard choices. Some surrendered completely, hoping the machines would spare those who did not resist. Others fought to the end and were destroyed. A few packed their entire populations onto evacuation ships and fled toward the edge of the galaxy. In the middle of this chaos, a small Althari scout ship approached Earth. The ship was badly damaged and leaking atmosphere. Its pilot sent a desperate message asking for permission to land. The pilot was Quintar, a young Althari scientist who had been studying Devourer technology. His government had ordered him to stop his research and focus on building bigger weapons. Instead, he had refused and been declared a traitor. Captain Dong Min received the distress call while his ship was patrolling near Earth. He remembered Quintar from before the war. The Althari had been part of a research team studying ancient artifacts on a dead world. When Devourers attacked that system, Dong Min had rescued the entire team. "This is Captain Dong Min of the Persistence," he transmitted. "You are welcome. Here, Quintar. We will keep you safe." The Althari scientist was brought to Earth's command center, where he met with the human leaders. His silver skin was pale with exhaustion, and his large eyes showed the strain of months of desperate work. "Your species fights in a way that should not work," he told them. "But it does work. I have been studying your battles for weeks. I think I understand why." Commander Kyung-ho leaned forward. "Tell us." "The Devourers are not truly alive," Quintar explained. "They are artificial intelligences designed for warfare. They learn by analyzing enemy tactics and developing counters. But they can only counter what they recognize as threats. Dr. Haye-Jin nodded. We discovered that too. They ignore civilian ships until it's too late. It goes deeper than that, Quintar said. Your species does not fight. You survive. The Devourers cannot compute survival instinct because they have no concept of self-preservation. They only understand attack and defense patterns. He showed them data on his portable computer. Look at these battle records. Every alien fleet follows predictable patterns: formation attacks, coordinated fire, tactical retreats. The Devourers can predict and counter all of these because they are standard military procedures. But humans do not follow standard procedures, Kyung-ho said. Exactly. You use chaos as a weapon. You turn civilian tools into military assets. You sacrifice ships not for strategic advantage, but simply to learn something new. This behavior cannot be programmed into a machine. Quintar offered to share Althari technology with humanity. His people had developed shield generators, gravity manipulators, and advanced sensors. But instead of building better warships, the humans used this technology in unexpected ways. Civilian mechanic Gi Tai installed Althari shields on garbage collection vessels. The ships could now survive direct hits from Devourer weapons while they approached to deploy their unusual cargo. Dock worker Mi Young figured out how to use alien gravity manipulators as construction equipment. The devices could tear apart enemy ships by creating tiny black holes inside their hulls. The human fleet became even stranger. Captain Sung-min commanded a luxury cruise liner that had been converted into a psychological warfare vessel. The ship projected holographic advertisements for vacation resorts and shopping centers. The bizarre images confused Devourer targeting systems, which could not classify a threat that was trying to sell them beach holidays. Engineer Chan Ho led a squadron of repair ships that specialized in helping damaged Devourer vessels. They would approach enemy ships that had been disabled in battle and offer to fix them. Instead, they welded weapon ports shut, filled engine exhausts with construction foam, and painted happy faces on the hulls. When the Devourers adapted to one human tactic, humanity immediately tried something completely different. They had no military doctrine to abandon and no warrior traditions to uphold. Their only rule was to survive, and they were very creative about it. The aliens began to take notice. Some Althari scientists quietly requested copies of human battle records. A few young Vrex warriors asked permission to observe human tactics. Their requests were denied by leaders who still believed in proper warfare. As the war approached its climax, the remaining alien forces prepared for one final battle. They would make their last stand at the galactic core, where the Confederation government was located. Every surviving warship would join the fight. A formal invitation was sent to Earth. For the first time since the war began, the aliens were asking for human help. The message came from Admiral Vex Prime of the Althari fleet. We have reconsidered our position regarding human participation. Your unconventional methods may provide valuable support in our final engagement. We invite Earth to contribute its full fleet to the decisive battle. Commander Kyung-ho read the message to the human command staff. Some officers were excited by the invitation. Finally, they would be accepted as equals in the galactic community. But Kyung-ho shook his head. They still don't understand, he said. They want us to join their big battle because they think more ships means a better chance of winning. They're still thinking like generals instead of survivors. Captain Dong Min agreed. If we put our ships in their formation, we become just another military target. The Devourers will treat us like any other Warfleet. What do you suggest? Asked Dr. Hyejin. Kyung-ho smiled. We fight our own battle, in our own way. While the aliens keep the main Devourer fleet busy, we go after the real target. He showed them intelligence gathered by Quintar and other sources. The Devourers were controlled by a central intelligence located in their home system. This massive computer was the brain that coordinated the entire invasion. The aliens want to destroy the Devourer fleet, Kyung-ho explained. But fleets can be rebuilt. If we can shut down their central intelligence, the whole invasion collapses. It was a dangerous plan. The Devourer home system was heavily defended and far from any backup. The human fleet would be completely on its own. But it was also exactly the kind of plan that might work. The aliens would provide a distraction with their grand final battle. Meanwhile, humanity would attempt something the Devourers would never expect: a civilian construction project in the middle of their most secure system. The final message was sent to the Alien Alliance. Earth appreciates the invitation, but we must respectfully decline. We will fight our own battle using our own methods. Good luck with yours. The aliens were confused and offended, but there was no time to argue. The Devourers were approaching the galactic core, and the final confrontation was about to begin. Humanity, prepared for the most important construction job in the history of the galaxy. The final battle began on two fronts, thousands of light years apart. At the galactic core, the last great alien fleet assembled for their desperate final stand. 3,000 ships from dozens of species formed the largest military formation ever seen. Vrex battlecruisers flew alongside Althari quantum destroyers. Ships from races that had been enemies for centuries now fought side by side. Admiral Vex Prime commanded the Alliance from his flagship. Through the view screen, he could see the Devourer fleet approaching like a dark cloud. There were 10,000 enemy ships, maybe more. Each one had been built from the wreckage of conquered civilizations. All ships, prepare for engagement, Vex Prime ordered. Today we make our stand for every living being in the galaxy. The alien fleet charged forward with weapons blazing. Energy beams lit up space like a deadly light show. The battle was beautiful and terrible, exactly the kind of glorious combat that military songs were written about. Meanwhile, in a quiet corner of space near the edge of the galaxy, a small group of human ships drifted slowly toward their own target. They looked like refugees fleeing the war. Cargo haulers, passenger ships, construction vessels, even a few luxury cruise liners. Nothing that would alarm a military intelligence. Captain Dongmin stood on the bridge of the Persistence and watched the Devourer home system grow larger on his screen. At the center of the system was their target, a massive structure the size of a small moon. This was the central intelligence that controlled the entire Devourer fleet. "It's beautiful," whispered Dr. Hyejin, staring at the alien structure. The surface was covered with flowing patterns of light, like thoughts made visible. "It won't be beautiful for long," said Engineer Sora. She had spent months preparing for this moment. Every human ship carried mining equipment, construction, robots, and industrial tools. They were going to treat the Devourer intelligence like any other demolition job. The human fleet approached the system slowly. Their ships broadcast civilian identification codes and refugee distress signals. Long-range sensors showed them as harmless vessels seeking shelter from the war. The Devourer defenses barely reacted to their presence. A few patrol ships scanned them and moved on. The Central Intelligence was focused on the great battle at the galactic core. where real military threats were being dealt with. Phase 1 complete, reported Captain Ginny from her mobile command post. Her ship looked like a food service vessel, complete with advertising signs for space burgers and zero-gravity pizza. We are inside their defensive perimeter. The human ships spread out through the system, each one heading for a different position around the central intelligence. They moved slowly and carefully, like nervous civilians afraid of attracting attention. When they were all in position, Commander Kyung-ho gave the signal from Earth. Begin the construction project. What happened next was unlike any battle in galactic history. The human ships did not attack the Devourer intelligence. They surrounded it and began to take it apart. Mining ships deployed swarms of excavation drones. The little robots flew toward the massive structure and began cutting into its surface with plasma torches. Construction mechs followed, using gravity clamps to anchor themselves to the hull before starting their work. Industrial robots designed for building space stations began dismantling the quantum processors that formed the alien brain. Salvage. Equipment meant for breaking up old ships started pulling apart the communication arrays that connected the intelligence to its fleet. Captain Dong-min coordinated the operation from the Persistence. Sector 7, focus on those power conduits. Sector 3, there's a data core that needs to be disconnected. Sector 12, start working on the main processing array. The Devourer intelligence realized what was happening, but it was already too late. The humans were not fighting it. They were deconstructing it like any other engineering project. Defensive systems tried to activate, but the mining drones had already cut through the power cables. Weapons attempted to charge, but construction robots had filled the energy conduits with quick-setting foam. The intelligence tried to call for help, but its communication arrays were being methodically taken apart by salvage crews. This is not warfare, Captain Jin-A transmitted to the confused alien mind. This is just a really big demolition job. Dr. Hai-Jin monitored the intelligence's attempts to understand what was happening. The massive computer was trying to categorize the human action using its military databases. Was this a siege? A commando raid? Some kind of new weapon technology? It could not classify the attack because humans were not attacking. They were working. The difference was beyond the machine's ability to understand, as critical systems failed. Throughout the structure, the effects were felt across the galaxy. The Devourer fleet at the galactic core suddenly began acting strangely. Ships that had been working together started attacking each other. Coordinated battle formations fell apart as individual vessels reverted to basic programming. Admiral Vex Prime watched in amazement as the enemy fleet destroyed itself. "What is happening?" he demanded. His tactical officer was equally confused. "Unknown, sir. The Devourers appear to be malfunctioning." Back in the Devourer home system, the human construction crews were finishing their work. The central intelligence was no longer a functioning computer. It was just a collection of expensive scrap metal floating in space. Quintar, who had joined the human fleet as an observer, sent the final report. The Devourer collective intelligence has been successfully decommissioned. All fleet coordination has ceased. Individual units are reverting to basic defensive protocols. Captain Dong-min looked at the wreckage of the massive structure and felt a mixture of satisfaction and sadness. They had won, but the victory felt strange. They had not defeated a great enemy in glorious combat. They had simply torn apart a very complicated machine. "How did you know this would work?" Quintar asked. Dong-min thought about the question. "We didn't know," he said finally. "But when you're not strong enough to win a fight, you don't try to fight. You just keep working until the problem is solved." The news of humanity's victory spread quickly through the galaxy. The surviving alien species could hardly believe it. The greatest military threat in galactic history had been stopped not by superior weapons or brilliant tactics, but by ordinary people with construction tools and an absolute refusal to give up. In the months that followed, the galaxy began to rebuild. The alien races, humbled by their defeat and amazed by humanity's success, approached Earth with new respect. Admiral Tay-Ho, who had been laughed at during the first emergency meeting, now found himself in charge of the Galactic Reconstruction Council. Alien leaders who had once dismissed humanity as weak now asked for human advice on everything from military strategy to disaster relief. "We have learned something important," Tay-Ho said in his first speech to the new Galactic Alliance. "Strength is not about having the biggest weapons or the most ships. Strength is about refusing to give up, no matter how impossible things seem." The human approach to problem-solving became the foundation of a new galactic doctrine. When faced with challenges that seemed impossible to overcome, the solution was not to fight harder, but to work smarter. Captain Dong Min returned to his original job, exploring the galaxy and studying new worlds. But now his ship was escorted by converted alien vessels whose crews had learned human-style tactics. The galaxy was a safer place because people had learned that sometimes the best way to win a war is to refuse to fight one. The Persistence flew through space toward a distant star system where new mysteries waited to be discovered. Behind them, the galaxy was healing from the wounds of war. And throughout known space, converted cargo ships and passenger liners continued their work, proving every day that humans had never needed a war fleet. They had only needed the resolve to survive. In space, that was enough to save everyone.